We are here. I'm really honored to be helped out with this by Iris because I really wanted to share and have the questions on myself too, so that because it's kind of like neurocreative leadership is this idea, there's pillars, but there's nothing without feedback, and so there's not much point doing it if there's no feedback on. It's like building a project and not sharing it with anyone, and so. Uh, uh, and so that's what I did for a lot of my life, in fact, with the music and the stuff. I was doing it to regulate and building
Mm,
loads of things. But then I was really frustrated because I didn't know how to communicate. So this whole thing of this whole summit's like a quite about market research in doing a summit, in doing
mm,
what neurocreative leadership is
mm,
about, and how we can all work together on creating something that isn't just me, it is a
mm,
community, and and that we've all got our own unique flavors. There's no competition in any of this because when we're heart-centered, we can help with our unique thumbprint and fingerprint of who we are. And so even if I had the same I help statement and Iris did, we would not attract the same people. Even that in that respect. So we can't necessarily. It's up to us just to create our reality and get find those people that want to know more. And this is one way of doing that collectively, so that we can all get attracted to different speakers on this summit. So I'm really thankful for this
awesome.
opportunity to be asked these questions. I'll pass it over to Iris. Oh,
I've,
uh,
oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
yes, all good.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for choosing me to interview you today. It's going to be fun. And I really like this idea, pop-up summit, just, you know, really nice to just pop up. So Rory, can you tell us a little bit about your life story and what is your favorite topic?
Great question. Um, the idea of it's really about music is my favorite topic in this life because when I was um all the way through not knowing feeling I knew how to communicate or be curious in conversation, I thought people were conversational and I was a listener. I thought I was a listener and I thought I was very introverted, and even heard the word shy said to me, and then I probably took that on and assumed that my identity. And so I'm very much not, I'm extroverted, but I didn't know how to communicate that well. And I was struggling with all of
Mm,
that in my life. And music was this regulator for me. It was the vibrations, the sounds, the ways in which if I wasn't able to do it logically, I was doing it by just absorbing um and curiosity, that sense of curiosity and absorbing all the sounds, the frequencies, even if I didn't like it,
mm,
I would still listen to it. I'd still listen to it going, what don't I like? What do I like? How would I change it as I'm listening to it? And all that kind of stuff would go on. But what really helped was going and dancing as well. So non-verbal
mm,
communication with people,
mm,
at events, and then I'd also go and play music at the side of in a house party or a party, and got into events and all this stuff that happened from music, passion of just regulating myself. So
mm,
so that in its sense is something that is really about natural rhythm, finding our natural rhythms, and how that creates safety. That once we're safe, we can then explore and create in the world.
mm. That's that's pretty awesome. Most
Uh,
of us have the life stories that bring us to this moment. So how have you translated this into your work now?
Yeah, yeah, it's because of the whole realizing that was help regulating my health, and I went into a period of mental exhaustion and burnout, and it was pretty much a psychosis experience in my early 20s.
Mm,
where I thought I couldn't get out of the loop, even though I didn't necessarily believe it was real. I could not get out of it, and I was worried that I'd broken myself. And luckily, I had reflexology from my mother for 14 weeks, and in
Mhm.
14 weeks, I was pretty much absolutely better as to where the level I was before those things had happened. And without
Mhm.
going into loads of detail around that, that just basically made me think, well, if I could do that in 14 weeks, what else is possible to change without necessarily assuming or standing on a pedestal going, it's possible, and that idea of that I wouldn't be able to rest without the world knowing
Mhm.
that at least I'd given my best shot at sharing around what I call holistic fitness, which we'll get into
Mhm.
because I developed that term after getting into healthcare studies and then osteopathy and then now the coaching. So yeah, yeah.
Awesome. And what is your go-to self-care tool?
Um, that's a good question, and I deliberately didn't think about it beforehand because there's so many. Obviously, and a lot of other speakers have said that, but there's so many. But they've brought it down to one, and I get to do that too. So I think
Mhm.
I think it would be my favorite, even though there's ones that there's two different angles to this. One is that we do things that challenge our nervous systems that we don't like doing. Otherwise, we would it would all just be like
Mm.
roses and oils,
One
and
fluffy day.
no hard work or anything. We would just wither away if we stayed comfortable. So we have to grow. So there's things that I do that I don't like doing. Uh,
Mhm.
but the thing that's favorite is probably walking and moving. So I'd be listening to
Mhm.
music and combining it with movement. So that would be dance as well. Absolutely love that. Yeah, and that really helps
Mhm.
me.
Awesome. Yeah, holistic fitness. I like that. Um, and when you think of holistic fitness, and that includes obviously mental fitness and emotional and physical fitness. And so I'm curious, when you think of that, what is your what is the innate powers that stand out for you the most? And I'm also curious, which one do you think is your strongest and your weakest in that sense? So thinking of these innate powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, navigation, and activation.
Mm. As soon as you say the word activation, it's really prominent in my life right now. And before,
Mm,
I didn't know how to do it. So I would be, well, I'd act out stuff. I'd start it, but then my mind would scatter, and I wouldn't be able to follow through on the projects and the things. So, so activation now, even though all the other ones blend in, it's almost like the two ends of the scale. One is empathy, which is to try and understand, and then all of those in the
mm,
weakest one for me in my life was empathy, self-care,
mm,
self empathy, and I'd take actions without, but they'd be sabotaging in some way because I wouldn't be feeling wholesome. I'd be worried about what people think of me or all that sort of stuff whilst taking actions and just getting
mm,
into flow with stuff like music and studies and everything. But then, so the in the past, that was my weakest link was self-empathy, which I've grown over
mm,
time. Now that's really full. I can say that it's now I get to do the activate thing through all of those other powers. They all blend into each other, but um, navigation and activation is what I love in terms of coaching because the navigation is what people tend to not think of when they think that they're stressed and they don't think about the longer game. When you actually think about the
mm,
longer game, you end up with that in mind every single day. You end up the actions that in the short
mm,
term add to the longer game. And so that's yeah, I've said a lot, but it's like I think activation is the one because I've spent time with
mm,
all the other ones the most as well up until now. So
mhm.
yeah, and it's kind
I
of
love
quite
that.
evident in terms of throwing the summit out and just getting into action and enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. Now that I've known you for over a year and a half almost, and I do see you being very active. You have all of this energy, all of these ideas coming through. And I love what you said about being full with empathy, as in you have activated that inner power, that innate power, which is always there, but you have literally activated it. And so now it's like full on. So I really love that. And you're also very creative. You have all these great ideas. And how does creativity and leadership, how did that come together for you?
Um, yeah, I think through studying the again the holistic side of health first has helped me to when coming back around to what creativity is from a healthy perspective. So when we're expressing ourselves um, well and fully, that means that we also look after ourselves. We can think that we should be doing a job and getting these things done, but if we're not necessarily doing that thing daily or at least regularly that fills us up without an end goal, that's that, or even just every day, just dreaming into what's possible. But that vision, the leadership piece, is the um, navi defining a vision so strong that it links the drive to lead beyond just staying comfortable and in play mode. So as this play mode, it's very open, it's very more feminine
Mhm.
energy. But I always felt like a struggle between when people would talk about the difference between men and women in the struggles. And yes, there are differences, but I would always be upset that I couldn't express we're in our own life and body. So yes, there may be perceptions of what someone else may be going through is and would be for them much stronger in their life for those things, but it's all adaptable. It's all having an environment and the support to change that's just possible to change. So it's not necessarily the truth that, all these things are polarized and different. We all have a right to be creative and a right to lead as free will humans. They're opposite, like a little bit feminine energy and masculine energy for the taking actions and being assertive and structure and planning. Um, that they're there. That's what I noticed about creativity and leadership being an equal amount of both of those in the day helps keep the doctor away. um but yeah, so um yeah, and it comes back round to then this centerpiece of vision and holistic fitness in a lot of ways that helps keep those forces playing with each other.
So here's an interesting question that's been on my mind actually. How can creativity and leadership coexist? And I asked this question because I was also prompted by what Stephen Kotler has been writing lately, the great writer and great researcher of flow, that creativity is done in loneliness, meaning that creativity is expressed when you are alone, and leadership is in community, and the two have this, let's say, polar um, energies that most leaders struggle with. Is that you can be creative, but how do you get your team to follow along, or the opposite? So there's been this question in my mind: how do they coexist? Is there a leader that has a perfect blend of creativity and leadership success?
It's a great question, and I think that they're emerging in this time. I think there's
Mhm,
definitely a lot of creative leaders popping up, and actually that in some ways just someone that becomes successful at being an artist has a responsibility. They have a message that has a vision that
mhm,
the ones that like Bob Marley, for instance, has messages in his words that. motivated, a lot of
Mhm.
peace or want or drive for peace in races.
Mm.
And so that is an example of creative leadership, I would say. And or the other way
Mm.
around, some people that the more leaders that are more um, how do you say it, more what would be the other side of art? We're all artists of our lives, but the sense of leaders that are more, for want of a word, political, or that deal with more masculine issues like structure and law
Mm.
and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
To bring in, that's why maybe we can't see it so well because it's not there yet, but it could well be where that's what I'm saying. Seeing is a way.
Mhm.
It could be the future is to bring that into this space. That's what I'm suggesting in my message towards it. And so,
Mhm.
um, and I loved what you mentioned about the inner work and the outer work. So
Mhm.
that really relates to this holistic fitness blueprint that I'm talking about in this topic as
Mhm.
well, which is health, wealth, and stealth. And that's
Mhm.
really quite simple to break that down in my day to go, what's one healthy thing I'm going to do? And that is inner work, inner resources. That could be playing the
Mhm.
guitar just for my mental and emotional and get
Mhm.
into a flow trigger, or it could be a walk or something, or sauna, or whatever it is that's a self-care technique for the inner resources of the body to replenish, grounding, breath work, all those things is the health piece, and that's the solitary work to design on our own needs to be um, honored, I'd say, daily or regularly, and then taking that and seeing them as different. And taking that into the
Mhm.
wealth care piece. The wealth care piece is everything outside of us.
Mhm.
That's how I separate it in my mind. Obviously, health is wealth and wealth is health in a lot of ways. They're very interrelated. But the way I say wealth care is the way I say it is it's like places and faces, traces, and
Mhm.
interfaces. And so those are all
Yeah.
those are all parts of that puzzle of
Mhm.
what the outer resource is like, and
Mhm.
environments, people, the quality of the relationships. They all
Mhm.
relate to the richness of life, which then, and when that's happening, that often then money will follow when we
Mhm.
are in those places rather than a lot of stress. And then that causes us to scavenge for things and instead of create richness. And the stealth care is the
Right.
targeting in the middle, the leadership stealth care. Who do I talk to? Who do I not talk to? Who do I get feedback from? Who do I not get feedback from? Um,
Mhm.
get to where that is. And so that's the holistic fitness
Mhm.
blueprint, the health, wealth, and the stealth relating to doing the self well and the
Mhm.
the wealth well.
Mm. Yeah. Inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
So
yeah,
how,
so
uh-huh.
I would say that is basically like it's like scheduling it. It is literally scheduling in the mind. Even for a creative mind, it can literally be
Mhm.
what one thing do I do for wealth? What one
Mhm.
thing health, wealth, and then stealth. So one thing is
Mhm.
the longer game that gets both of these
Mhm.
together further. So
Mhm.
three things in a day.
Yeah, awesome. And so how does it all come together for you? How does this value that you bring into the world come based on your innate powers, your skills, your learned expertise, your lived experience, your uniqueness? Um, how do you bring that into the world? What is your value proposition?
Um, I see that as taking bigger level concepts and turning them into words like what I
Mhm.
just did with wealth care, knowing now
Mhm.
that it's two words, put them together, you've got a concept that makes sense. And so that sense of
Mhm.
bigger complex topics and bringing that imaginative dream world into something that's easy to put into practice. That's what I love to help with in terms of the the mentorship.
Mhm.
And then there's the coaching element, which is somatically check helping people to find their own insights and choose what they want to do. So that's the other piece. So there's the coaching, there's the mentorship, and then there's the
Mhm.
leadership, just to be in duty of creating awareness of that it's possible to change,
Mhm.
or look at what's possible to change.
Mm. Awesomeness. And what is your call to action?
Yeah, my call to action in this time is firstly when we notice something that's been really interesting, to if we hear it and we declare it and say it, we often create manifestations more quickly of those things. So even here listening, if there's any been anyone fascinated with this or liking something, share it. It can ripple effect to someone else that needs to hear it right now. And it's that instant thing of now rather than letting it the momentum going. So my call to action in a couple of ways is a these this summit is has amazingly handpicked uh, experts that passionately dedicated to different areas of these different pillars of neurocreative leadership. One being this holistic fitness blueprint, another one being um, energy, regulation and things like that, and so many other topics that even 23 speakers have, including Iris, has contributed to. So there's a sign up to watch the rest of them to support this build on what we're going to do next time in May with extra vigor and rigor. Um and I've also got a mentorship as well that is one-to-one work that will turn into more of a mastermind approach eventually. But firstly, one-to-one mentorship in your creative leadership skills, and getting those projects out there through scattered brilliance, natural rhythms, and and developing those ideas into reality, dreams to reality. So it's all mappable, and the momentum can go with accountability. So it's really that those people that are struggling with scatter and um putting things off, and that can stay focused on something, get clear on their vision, and make a project that represents all of that is what I help with. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yay.
Amazing.
Well, it's it's time to wrap it up, but I'd like to first just ask you and share what did we get from this talk, from this call today. And I just want to say, like, the thing that jumped at me is the how you described the innate powers. Because in my mind, it was like, oh, I'm strong in this and I'm weak in that, and it's this or that, or oh, a little bit of everything. But I liked the way you said it. It made me feel like, yes, we cycle through our innate powers. We work with them, we empower them, they become strong in the moment. And then it's not that the other ones become weak, but it's rather, right? There's like different moments that need our different innate powers activate at different times. So that's what I got from um, what you said.
Brilliant. Lovely. That's great to hear. And what I got from it was there was something recognizing there's something about, yeah, how to put that into practice daily is something that's really important, that I've basically got to the point where I can actually do that. And it's taken a long time to self-test, and because there's not that many people bringing all these elements together, and I've had to take from different programs here and there. And so I think that what I'm getting from it is next time we do a talk, we can talk through a daily my five daily D's, which is the daily planning routine, which I'm happy to talk about if anyone wants to discover that before we delve into it in May. But I think that's what I'm getting from it is this sense of how do we manage our powers through the inner work and the reaching out work to create to get feedback from others. That community, like you said. Um, yeah, I think those are that's the key is the daily rhythms that work well for people than the standard neurotypical productivity hacks for daytime stuff, which may not land for people. I want to be more creative with it and be more imaginative with those frameworks. So yeah, thanks,
Sounds
Iris.
great.
Thanks for
Thank you,
watching.
Rory.
Yeah, highlights, comments, any questions around anything that you've seen, and uh, it's yeah, we're doing a wrap up on Monday evening. The UK, it's 8 till 9:30. It's going to be a celebratory um, panel, fun uh, group talk around Robin event, and the link to join us on Zoom it will be inside the summit dashboard too. So it's about coming in there and exploring all the other wonderful talks. Everyone's had different kind of um, responses. Some have been the same, but some have been quite different, and for different elements of who they are. So it's like listening out for their resonant processes and their gifts and how they help the world and seeing what their answers are like is fascinating to me. So I hope it's fascinating for everyone else as we go along with this. But yeah, join the dashboard. It's fun to click off your short talks that we're doing for now, and any feedback is always welcome because it will help shape neurocreative leadership as we go.
Yay.
Thank you very much, Iris, for your awesome presence and
Thank
help
you.
out with this as well. It's brilliant.